All right, so we are back after a short break. I don't even know if I can name names here,
Mm,
but
I usually don't.
no, I won't.
On camera,
But
anyway.
he bought this friend of mine bought a side domain, and it happened to be the name of a big company
Yeah.
that does several things. And if I say what, everybody's gonna figure out what. But shortly after, he was contacted by this company, which is also music affiliated.
Yeah.
And this company just said, "That's our name. Give it to us." And he was like, "I bought it. We can talk about it, but that's
Yeah.
legally mine." So basically, this gigantic company, started sending threat letters, saying how much money they were going to throw at this, and actually forcefully redirect illegally his web domain to their site. And that was all you needed to sue the company and win
Yeah.
a lot of money, like a lot of money. But this is I wonder like how this applies on copyrights for music. Like, is that easy?
Well, the copyrights last what 50 years after the death of
That
an
was the
artist.
question. I was hoping
I don't know if they moved the goalpost on that
one
and
of
made it
you
a little
two
longer.
could answer.
Generally, it's going to happen by accident where someone writes a song and another person totally unrelated writes something really similar, whether it's a lyric or a piece of a melody, and whoever gets bigger first. So if they both release an indie, they may
Yeah.
never come into path with each other. But if one's indie and one's major, the major one will come out, and then the indie person will hear it and be like, "That's my song, and I
Yeah.
wrote it 3 years ago."
Yeah.
And then that's where the issue is now.
Mm.
It has to be decided who had it first.
Yeah, of course.
Well, here's a really famous one, and we can name people on this one because, well, anyway. John Lennon wrote "Come Together," right?
Mm-hmm.
The people or the person who owned Chuck Berry's copyright for the song "You Can't Catch Me" heard "Come Together" and said, "Hey, that's "You Can't Catch Me" by Chuck Berry," and sued him,
Wow.
and he won.
Against Lennon?
Well, against the Beatles.
Okay, yeah.
It was a Lennon-McCartney creation, but
Wow.
So, as part of their settlement and the way they worked things out, not only was some of the Beatles royalties kind of going, and this is where it starts getting a little hazy with me, so if I say something incorrect, I apologize. But as part to the settlement, John Lennon agreed to record a few Chuck Berry songs.
Wow.
After the Beatles broke up, he was like, yeah, I'll do a couple of these songs, this will help settle this, settle that. But, was Lennon actually going, yeah, this sounds really good, this is Chuck Berry? He didn't think about it at the time.
Yeah, of course.
He just wrote "Come Together," and if you hear the songs, you can see where they go, yeah, that's the song, but they're completely different at the same time. But you can see where he lifted a line and part of the melody.
Yeah.
So it's just, you don't always know you're going to be doing it.
Yeah, I know.
But if you think, oh, this sounds close enough, it's like, well, you better
Yeah.
get the right people
And now
involved.
that I think about it, it happened to me. I also caught myself in time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, this riff sounds really. Oh, this is that song.
Well, that's the thing,
Scratch it.
Or even some of the more well-known, like famous ones, like John Fogerty, who got sued by the people in the Creedence Clearwater Revival copyrights
Michael
because
Jackson.
they were like, you sound like John Fogerty. And John Fogerty sounds like Creedence. And it's like, well, yeah, he wrote the songs for both groups.
Wow.
His own as a solo artist and Creedence as a band. He was the main songwriter. So they took him to court going, hey, you sound just like Creedence Clearwater. What's the deal? And the two songs do sound very similar. But it ended up where John won and he didn't have to give out any royalties or any of that stuff because they were just like, well, they're different enough. And he's the same artist.
Yeah.
Under two different,
Michael
locations,
Jackson.
basically.
Michael Jackson was sued by, and this is I feel it is exactly what happened. What you were just mentioning, like somebody doing it without realizing it, because it was an Italian singer-songwriter called Albano, and turns out Michael Jackson, one of the latest albums, one of the songs, a single actually, I don't remember which one. It's easily, you can find it on Google, but it was very similar to this guy song, which there's no way Michael Jackson purposely copied that. But it was obviously a lot similar enough for this Italian artist to have ground to sue him.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how that did.
Well, there's the more recent Robin Thicke,
Yeah.
Marvin Gaye.
Wow, yeah.
And who knows if when that beat was being made, that rhythm was just in their
Exactly.
head, and they happened to use similar percussion that sounded like,
Yeah.
the percussion of Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, but I think there's a little more to it than just the rhythm. Because
Sure, but
you know as well as I do, you can't copyright a rhythm usually.
Yeah.
yeah, no,
You
of
know.
course, but
If
What
they
I'm
did,
getting at
James
is
Brown's
that-
drummers would have been like living in mansions and all kinds of stuff because of all the times they
that's
listened
not
to
what I'm
all
saying.
that
What
stuff.
I'm saying is it could have been subconscious when
Absolutely.
they grew up listening to that song and they're trying to write something new and it just kind of comes out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or it could have been, I've seen this with producers where they'll be inspired by something and they'll be trying to take from it, but make it different enough
Yeah.
to where it's not recognizable.
Yeah.
And they just don't do a good enough job at
yeah.
that. And it does get recognized. You know?
Of course.
So who knows what it was the case with that song, but yeah,
It's
you got
hard-
it.
it's
They
so
could have
hard to
handled it
tell.
differently too, though.
Sure.
Again, cover your ass.
Yeah.
Because it sounds so similar, without having to go to court and any of that stuff, they could have just broke them off a piece and said, "Here, we did this. We're doing this. We're going to give you this,"
Or
Sure.
and hope that they'd say yes.
one thing that I don't know is how much you need to change. Let's put it this way, to get away with something like that. Because I know there's a lot
like
of
like Joe was mentioning, drums are not copyrightable.
Yeah. Beat.
A sample, an audio recording
yeah.
of a drum pattern is a certain number of seconds of an audio recording, but the actual pattern is not copyrightable. Chords are not copyrightable. Melody,
Progression. Of course.
bass lines go along. They rule that bass lines can be melodic.
Yeah.
So a famous bass
Yeah.
line, you can get in
Can't get
trouble for that.
covered.
Definitely melody and definitely lyric,
What about chord progression?
not chord progressions.
That's my point, because there's, I don't know if you guys know, if you ever seen, there's a video of this band on YouTube. I don't remember the name. Basically, they play. There's this magic chord progression, and they play all the songs. There are probably 70% of hits in the past 15 years.
Yeah.
They have all the same.
The four chords of doom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's insane. If
Yeah,
you-
none of those people can sue each other. But take
But
like
they've tried,
it's,
though.
it's like you two and Lady Gaga and Michael Jackson and Cranberries and like all the top acts.
Well, there's only 12 notes in Western music. You're bound to going to repeat yourself
Right.
They
eventually.
have that
Right.
chord progression. If you haven't watched that video, watch it, guys. You know,
Yeah,
you're
you know,
watching
it's,
the
it's
show.
like in the
It's
history
insane.
of audio and music. ZZ Top got sued for Lagrange
Yeah.
because they're playing the same boogie pattern that John Lee Hooker did when he did Boogeyman and all his other boogie stuff.
Yeah.
You know, again, the lawsuit got thrown out because it's a chord progression. And
That's
yeah,
crazy.
it sounds very inspired to the point where it's like, yeah, it could be John Lee Hooker, but it's not.
Right, yeah.
A lot of those, like when you're a beginning guitar player and you like rock music and you learn a lot of those riffs, like Smoke on the Water and stuff.
Usually in the wrong key.
Though, yeah, most of the time they're playing it wrong. But those are melodic, even though they're power chords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are not considered chord progressions when it comes to
They
the
can
copyright.
be copyrighted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because it's a melodic bass line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's that's the whole song. you know.
That's
So,
what
those are the exceptions, but just like the pop chords, 1625 or whatever it is, or 1654,
yeah.
they can't copyright that, and that's why there's millions of songs with it.
Exactly. It was impressive when I saw that video. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, you just go from one to the other singing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
But all the melodies are different.
All the
lyrics
melodies are different. Or, the beat or the melodies. But yeah.
No, if the
It's-
beat's different, it doesn't matter. Because the beat's not copyrightable.
But that was the few times that happened to me. It was because I was composing using the guitar, and I was composing in drop D, actually drop C. So I was basically playing the bass line with the guitar because I couldn't even do chords when I was composing. So I was just going like this. I dropped my guitar out of out of incapacity for me to play, And that's what I was recognizing. I was recognizing the bass line. A few times happened. Okay, I'm just copying someone else because it's just unconsciously in your mind. Maybe some song you heard 10 years ago.
Do any of you guys know any case where melodic drums, where there was a case where
Melodic
melody
drums?
of the drums, because there's drums where you do melody, where there's been an issue where
I've never heard of any.
Case.
I was gonna say, funny you mentioned that. Was it Peter Gabriel, the drum solo?
So CD, our video and audio guy, is speaking, guys.
He has more knowledge than us. Don't let him fool you. Go ahead.
That one's considered trademark.
What it was, CD again?
I think it was Peter. It's a track from Peter Gabriel, and it's a very signature drum fill.
Okay.
And everybody would know it, but I forget the song title off the top of my head. And then the same one from Kenny Aronoff was the drummer. Jack and Diane, what's his name?
Yeah. John Mellencamp or John Cougar Mellencamp, or whatever he was going by back then.
Those two are considered trademark.
Really?
Well, that's because the drums are pitched and you're making a melody out of it.
Well, that's what he was just mentioning.
Yeah.
And also, in hip hop, we'll do melodic.
But he asked
drums.
if we knew of any, and none of us did. You did, though.
I would personally trade. See, this is a gray area, I feel, because I would copyright a couple of. I can think of a couple of drum feel that are such a big part of songs. Like I can think of like.
Well, that's why you end up going to court, because when it becomes not black and white, it's just
exactly.
like this gray area.
System of a Down, Toxicity. That
Well, look
drum
at-
feel. It's like there's no note. There's just a drum feel in the chorus. It's that is the song.
Oh, you're like the big Phil Collins song with the big toms with the gated reverb.
Sorry.
If you were to redo all that,
It was freaking Phil
that's
Collins.
what you're talking
my
about?
bad.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
I thought it was Peter
It's
Gabriel,
like-
my bad.
If you were to recreate that, it's obvious where you got it from.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the infraction.
But yet that was the sound of the 80s, was a gated reverb.
But that particular drum fill and the tuning of the drums, if you were to recreate that to a judge, it's going to be obvious, okay, you took that from that.
Yeah.
It's not just a coincidence.
Well,
but
like-
if you're just playing a song and you happen to fill with some gated reverb toms, it's not a big
No,
deal.
it's not. Well, like a Beautiful People from Marilyn Manson, like the drum feel is the song.
Right.
You know, it's
So at some point, that's why you have the judge.
Yeah,
They're going to
yeah.
pass judgment on how close is it, and do they believe it was an accident or...
you know, most time people don't get famous enough, but God knows how many songs are like sound like another, but we just don't know because they don't get to the big
Well,
audience.
money
the
changes
public.
everything.
Yeah.
That's why it's the music business. It's
In the hip hop world, I think this is so tricky because you cannot copyright the beat basically, or even if you can copyright, you can change it enough not to.
you can copyright the sound recording of it.
Yeah,
So
but if you remake
well, you're
it,
paying
what
license
happens?
fees for the master, aren't
if
you?
you
at that
remake it,
point?
that's where a lot of guys get screwed, and even labels do this where someone will produce a beat and they'll have another producer reproduce that same beat, and it'll be very similar, and there's nothing that the other guy can do.
Yeah, because maybe there's just a bass line and a piano and a
Right.
drum.
Right.
You change the sound, you change the timbre, you change maybe, and it's easy. And,
Well, if you're using samples, you're paying for the master. You know.
if you're but it's easier to recreate it.
Oh, I know.
I can
Samples aren't even as huge as they used to be,
Yeah,
unless you're
exactly.
talking about like Splice samples,
Yeah,
Splice.com
exactly.
or something like that.
But I think
those are not. Those are made for public use.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm pretty sure you and me, we can reproduce any beat, any trap or hip hop beat in like 2 hours.
Sure.
It's no problem. And so that is so easy to like
The messed up
steal.
thing is though, is like you could take a beat from like a Migos song, reproduce the same thing, use your own sounds, put a new song on it.
Yeah.
As far as the lyrics and the melody.
Yeah.
And nobody can do anything.
No,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Nobody can do anything. That's why I'm saying in the hip hop world, it's like
We just
so
gave a bunch
sketchy.
of young producers a good
Yeah,
idea.
exactly. And I feel
So you
there's
mean
a
they're going to download it off YouTube and then make
There's a
make
lot
the
of-
stuff out of it like a lot of people do nowadays?
There's a lot of people that does that. I feel there's a lot of people that
Well,
does
they
that.
do. They go on YouTube and they look up like free stuff or even the non-free stuff where it's just like, this is the track from this recording of the vocal or something, and they'll pull it off YouTube in an MP3 and then put it in.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, I made a beat now.
Well, like I mentioned before, I don't know if you were here already, but I just ran into a problem like this.
Yeah.
And I actually bought the beat because we already recorded the vocals on that beat.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to
He did way more than drums. That
Yeah.
was all that stuff.
Yeah, it was.
Now, did
there
you
was
buy it
melody.
outright, or did you buy it?
I bought the beat.
Did you buy it outright to where you own
Yeah,
it, or
yeah.
did you buy it to
Yeah.
where you're
No,
licensing
I
it?
own it. I
Okay.
own it. So that was not just
not licensed.
drum. Yeah, it was a song.
Oh, right.
So and
Was
another
it
thing-
expensive?
Not really, because it was like an independent guy making
Okay.
beats.
All right.
So it was like a few $100. Yeah.
Okay.
But also with the something that I've seen, Drake was accused to copy, I think was XXX Temptation, something like that, and and even then it was obvious that the cadence was the same, the pattern was the same, but how the fuck do you copyright that? You know, so it just didn't go anywhere, and also it was Drake, so probably. But I listened to both songs. They were like literally the same song, the same tone, the same cadence, the same pattern of the rapping, and the same beat. But I can see how that is really hard to copyright, because how do you copyright a rap pattern?
Yeah, it's a rhythm. That's supposed to, I mean, in most cases, not be something you can copyright.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
But you add a melody to that, and then now you have
that's
something
the
like,
thing. There was no
It's a rap.
melody. Yeah.
So,
There was no there was one note, all the time. There was no chord progression. Probably there was a bass line that was slightly changed or something.
At that point, they're just looking at the lyrics, and if the lyrics aren't the same,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're not the same.
kind of throw it out.
You run Mentors Lab, so you work with a lot of new upcoming singer-songwriter. What is one of the most common questions, maybe, the singer-songwriter have when they go, okay, I have this piece of music, what the fuck am I doing with this now?
Questions. The problem that I see with songwriters is, okay, how many years have you invested in engineering?
20.
How many years have you invested in actual engineering?
oh, me? Well over 20.
How many years have you actually invested in the craft of engineering, Bob?
About 20.
Ask a songwriter how many years they've invested into the craft of songwriting.
Yeah, it's like 2 to 3.
If anything.
We need that type of investment from the songwriters into their craft.
That's a huge complaint of mine is especially just singers. Anyone that's going to perform a song. It's like I get these people that drop by the studio and they're like, I want to show you my new artist, or this young woman that sings, and she comes in and sings, a famous song,
Cover or something.
yeah, something like that. She sung it 1,000 times over the last 5 years and nails it, makes it her own. Everything's cool. And then fast forward to getting her on the mic weeks later on her own song, and it's horrible because she hasn't been singing it for years. Like, so many singers are unprepared and they don't practice. It's like even comparing a singer to a guitarist or a bassist or a drummer. It's like we
play all day.
play all the time. It's
Yeah.
like we're sitting in front of a TV playing, and then
On the toilet.
growing up, I used to go up into my attic, and I had all these instruments, and I would do the rounds. Like after school, I'd play the drums when my parents aren't home, and then play the guitar, then have dinner, do my homework, then play bass, and then play keyboards when it's late because I can put on headphones. So I just do the rounds every day, 7 days a week. And that kind of practice, you rarely see it in a singer.
Yeah.
When I'll take singers and like whatever line they sing, we turn in just the melody of it, the gibberish of it, right? And if they started on the one bar, then we'll shift and have them start on the one end, the same thing, started on the two, and keep doing it and let them listen to that, to the music, and see how it actually sounds different, even though it's the same thing, it's just moved around. Blows their mind. They never stop and think of stuff like that. And I start explaining to them the craft of songwriting. You have to study and gain what we call tools so that you could do your job better. Because we sit up and spend all this time, and then they come in here and have not put that in, and it's horrible.
This is why I did a lot of vocal production back in the year when I was actually recording more than mixing and mastering, and I firmly believe that studio experience for singers is more important than for any other musician. It's easier for a guitar player to listen to their playing through the amp than for a singer to hear themselves sing. Make sense?
Sure.
You know, when if you play a wrong note on your guitar, it's easier to hear it than while you're singing, picking up your being out of
Well,
tune or
usually
something.
as a singer, you start, like maybe you grew up in church or you just sing for fun, or you sing in the school choir, and then you get older and now you're trying to be, a recording artist. So you haven't been in the studio singing.
Exactly.
You've been singing just out in the air, where we're plugged into an amp from day one with guitar.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a different thing. Recording in the studio, you definitely have to get used to it and get good at it.
Yes, and you said the word recording artist. Recording is an art by itself than performing live singing. It's different. I feel it's different just because. Just think about that. Just because you have usually a condenser mic in front of you, that is not a dynamic mic that you usually use for practice. So even the interaction between the singer and the media, it's completely different. It's different sensitivity. It's different when you move. It's different the distance, and it's different the fact that what you record is now there. It's gonna be there forever. It's not, some imperfection that it passes because it's live. It's a live performance. Nobody's gonna listen to it, 1,000 million times. When you record it and you let the singer hear what you just recorded, maybe 10 times in a row, he or she will start to understand, oh, that's out. Oh, that's not perfect. That vowel can be, a little better. What I usually do with singers was something that I find therapeutic. We usually do 3, 4, 5 performances. And then I comp it real quick. I pick the best part, and then I let them sing on that. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
So the composition of like the best parts of 4, they become their guideline. Now sing that.